move to Edo State, where in a couple of days, Governor Monday Okpebholo will be marking his first 100 days in office. Okpebholo was sworn in on November 12, 2024 for a constitutionally guaranteed tenure of 4 years. In a little more than 3 months in office, how has he managed to focus on governance issues in the state amid the current challenge by the opposition People's Democratic Party to his victory at the Election Petitions Tribunal? So has the governor fared? Well, let's cross live to Benin City, the capital of Edo State, to have a chat on the governor's scorecard with his legal advisor, Andrew Emwanta. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, Sambo. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Now, let's start with, first of all, the governor's decision to actually suspend his attorney general and the local government directorate official. What exactly actually led to that? And isn't that sending some mixed signals, actually?
Yeah, thank you, Sambo. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. If I will respond to your question, I must also quickly put out a rider that there's a panel currently investigating the allegations leveled, and it will not be fair to prejudge that matter. But just to say that the Okpebholo administration has zero tolerance for any form of malfeasance. And these are allegations that, of course, the committee, the panel setup, will determine its merit or otherwise. But if you ask me, I think the governor has started very well. And because he has a mandate to develop our state, he wants to do that, just like Caesar's wife, on the basis of that trust. That is to say, he would not allow a system whereby public officials does not live above boards. I served in Obaseki's government. The level of malfeasance that took place is such that, even as a member of the Assets Verification Committee, I was so shocked to see a whole lot of things that happen in government. And just lately, we submitted the local government probe panel report. I can tell you for free that Argon was used as a cesspot for all forms of money laundering. Do you know that party leaders shared council funds with reckless abandon? There's a particular leader in Umwode local government, Dixon Masoge, he got 40 million. I mean, that 40 million would have rehabilitated 3 primary healthcare centers. The chairman of Argon used his hotel, the Marriott Hotel, to move over 1.07 billion naira, just a single individual. I mean, those levels of financial malfeasance we saw in the previous administration, this present administration has zero tolerance for that.
Well, if I may add that that's just an allegation, we don't have those facts. You have said that, and we just hope that you have your facts. But talk to us about what Governor
I said the probe panel report.
Yeah, I mean, talk to us about what Governor Okpebholo has been doing, especially within the grassroots, in this near 100 days in office, because we've also seen the opposition kicking him very, very hard, especially on some of these local issues concerning the local government, which you raised. But talk to us generally. We've also heard that he's asked for teachers, arrears, and other things to be paid. I mean, what exactly stands him out in this 100 days in office?
You know, he came with a promise, and that promise is anchored on the campaign manifesto, A New Edo is Rising, a 5-point agenda. And if you ask me, it has been 100 days of unending road construction. Remember that before he even became governor, he made a promise concerning the Benin-Aochi road, particularly the Ekpoma sector. And as I can tell you authoritatively, that road has been fixed to a point where you can move freely on that road. Before now, that road was a complete death trap. Obaseki even came out to say he was helpless. And he came to put about 5 billboards on that road saying that this is a federal road. But what seemed to be a federal road, the present administration has been able to fix it. Between Obadan and the Irekmen axis, the state government is working on that sector of the federal road. And from Irekmen down to Ewu, I can tell Nigerians for free that that road is not pliable. And we have one man to thank, the present governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo. This is a man that believes in practical governance. And as I was saying earlier, it is on ending 100 days of massive road construction, on ending 100 days of school rehabilitation, because what we call primary and secondary school buildings in Edo State was nothing more than, poultry, or places where you keep dogs. The state of schools we saw when the governor came in was such that you cannot send a child to a place without roof, a classroom without doors. Some of these buildings were falling. And that was what Obaseki said he did in the name of Edo Best. And I can tell you too that the $75 million he got from the World Bank, only $5 million of that money was committed to that program, and part of that money was looted.
Yeah, but
we have a debt profile of over 600 billion, which this governor is contending with, but that is not preventing him from road construction. Even for the first time, we are now having a flyover in Benin City.
Yeah, but you were initially part of
our primary care.
You were initially part of that Governor Obaseki's government that you actually taking so much pains to actually hit at the moment. When you say no primary school, it was good enough to be able to put your kids there. I mean, isn't that a personal indictment on you and some other officials who served under that government before moving to the APC?
Sambo, I can sit here because I left that government on a note of disappointment. On the eve of when the governor, dissolved his ESCO, a particular bill was brought before the State Tenders Board where I was a member. 1.7 billion naira was proposed for a software license that would not last for more than a year. And my query was that we had bad roads, we had bad schools, just the way I'm still saying it now. What was this government's plan Obaseki's government plan to do this? There was another 700 million for another software that would not last for more than 1 year. And I said, no, that the governor has to explain to me why we should approve this. The matter came up in ESCO. And of course, at that time, Shaibu was the deputy governor. And the question was, you were running the Oil and Gas Commission without a board, and billions of naira was being spent in a particular local government. That was what made the governor to dissolve his ESCO. Because at that time, because we told him the truth, right, he saw some of us as rebels. And that was why I walked away from the party, the PDP, and left his government. But my joy is that we now have a governor that has given a human face to governance. Edo Line was buried by Obaseki. Just recently, the governor bought over 100 buses. So Nigerians will now see that legacy Ogbomudia gave us back on our roads. Edo was known for one thing, for excellence. Look at the stadium. The stadium was in a complete mess. They had to clean up that place because he pushed aside his deputy governor who had revived the insurance. So this is one governor that will not lament. And I can assure you that by the time we celebrate the first 100 days of the Okpebholo administration on Wednesday, we are going to reel out all his achievements across all sectors. And on this five-point agenda, he has delivered on those 5-point agenda. And just to quickly say that, courtism was a major problem in our state. There's a legislation that the governor has signed that has given very high penalty to secret court activities in our state. That is to say, if you house a courtist in Benin City or anywhere in Edo State, you have to be demolished. First of its kind in Nigeria.
I'm afraid I just
have a governor that will not allow people.
I'm afraid I just have to cut in at the moment because of time. But I want you to listen to this. The PDP is saying that Governor Okpebholo has no business being governor in Edo State because even some of his witnesses at the ongoing election petitions tribunal, without prejudice to the main case, are only able to defend his victory at the tribunal. Have you taken thought to that as a legal advisor? I mean, isn't that a very strong indictment that the same people called to come out, testify for him are not so conscious or so sure of what they will say before the tribunal?
I think, Sabo, you should be fair to your viewers by being specific. It is actually as a baby who appeared in the program.
Chris Nehikare actually made that statement. Chris Nehikare actually made that statement. They are birds of a feather. Yeah, during the week in a statement.
They are actually birds.
And I just want to quote what he said. He said, the All Progressives Congress in Edo State is the party in complete disarray, gripped by palpable tension because they cannot defend the brazen heist of the September 21 governorship election from which they were the sole beneficiaries. End of quote.
If I will quickly respond to you, Sambo, you mentioned Chris Nehikare and I mentioned Atode Azegbemi. These are birds of a feather. They are members of the ragtag PDP ESCO. Just after they made those statements, the party extended their tenure as caretaker members. How will a political party run its affairs with appointees, right? When you don't believe in democracy, you can't talk about democracy. So let me come to the issue. Under Section 135 of the Evidence, Sub 2 of the Evidence Act, he who alleges must, has the burden of proving, have the burden of proof. If you allege a fact or you make a criminal allegation, the burden of proof lies on you. And if you notice, in every election petition, you always have issues around corrupt practices. But how did PDP phrase their petition? And I speak now as a constitutional lawyer. They phrased it along two lines. First, they said non-compliance. And in trying to establish non-compliance, they sought refuge under Section 137 of the Evidence Act, which is a novel provision. And what does Section 137 say? That a petitioner can actually use certified true copy documents in establishing his petition where those particular sets of documents manifestly give evidence of non-compliance. And as such, they choose to call, out of 92 witnesses they initially assembled, they choose to call only 19 of such witnesses. The burden is not on either the APC, Senator Okpebholo, who won the election, or on INEC. The burden of proof remains with the PDP and its candidate, Okpebholo. So to hear non-lawyers like Chris Nekari and Azigbimi come on national TV to say that the burden lies on us because our witness, because if we even choose not to call any witness as INEC, the burden is not on us. What we need to do is just to tender documents within the meaning of Section 137 of the Electoral Act. Because they know that they lost that election. That is why they could afford to dump beavers machines without calling any single witness, not even an expert witness, to establish their petition. I followed election petitions in the last 20 years, and I can tell you for free that the present petition of Okpebholo and the PDP is the worst ever I've ever seen. And as I've often maintained, it's going to fall like a pack of cards because there's no substance in that petition. Well, just like London Bridge, that petition is falling.
The issue is still ongoing. And of course, during the week, a lot of people were surprised that there was only one witness that was called actually by Governor Okpebholo. I mean, we had thought that there will be, several witnesses to be called upon. But would you just want to touch on that?
Yeah, thank you. I said this earlier, that Section 135 of the Evidence Act places a burden of proof on anybody that alleges. And when you say somebody rigged an election, rigging is a criminal offense, right? And even our Constitution is very clear. Section 6, sub 5 says, everybody accused of a criminal offense is presumed to be innocent until he is proven guilty. That if you are saying that INEC rigged an election, you are actually making an allegation INEC, who you have accused by virtue of Section 36(5). But on you, who is making that allegation? And they have told INEC were tendered in evidence. PDP and their candidates, they are here to talk about it and evidence have closed. So do you expect an APC witness when the party has already tendered documents to show that Senator Okpebholo won and the results are there, the statistics are there, showing that he won? So I think they are actually on a wild goose chase. The truth is, they talk about most of these things on the social media, but when you go to court, when you go to the tribunal, it's a different ball game. They assembled 92 witnesses, they only called 19. And our lawyers brought them down under cross-examination because most of the things they said were full of inconsistency, too many gaps. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. They made an allegation that they won on the IREV. And the Supreme Court, in the plethora of authorities, have said, IREV is not a mode of collation. Because you discover that the beavers machine will give a figure, and the evidence they have tendered from the IREV documents is showing something different.
All right.
And once you have a gap in such a case, because the law is that when you make an allegation of crime, the standard of proof is proof beyond reasonable doubt. So there are too many doubts in that petition. And that is why I believe it will fall like a pack of cards. Well, it's a mere distraction. Though people are given a mandate, and that mandate was given to Senator Okpebholo. And he's delivering on that mandate. And on Wednesday next week, we are going to be celebrating, as I said earlier, 100 days of unending massive road construction, of unending school rehabilitation, of unending peace and tranquility in our city, and of unending enjoyment of the dividends of democracy. And that is why the governor is called a pacomiser. In most times, you find that
I mean, and that brings me
to give a human face to government. He has been able to take governance.
Sorry, I have to interject here.
At night, it's easy to move around. But when Obaseki was governor, we had this problem of insecurity because members of his government, part of them were members of secret courts.
All right.
I mentioned the anti-court law.
That's an allegation.
And without anti-courtism law,
that's an allegation.
Today,
actually,
as I speak to you, is no longer acceptable. It has been properly and fully criminalized. And that is
all right.
What
well,
Andrew,
that's an allegation. Actually,
says the security and the welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. And our governor, Senator Okpebholo, has given a human face to this particular provision of our constitution. And that is a mandate.
All right, Andrew.
That mandate.
Andrew, well, that's an allegation that you made here. And of course, I would always like to provide facts whenever we have people like you right here talking to us. But talk to us about other issues of governance. We've heard Governor Okpebholo actually accusing the local government chairman that was suspended of misusing 83 billion naira. I mean, how could that have happened without checks and balances? And of course, there was the issue of the case that was taken to court by the State House of Assembly, which we are hearing now that the Speaker of the State House of Assembly is dissociating himself from that suit. Talk to us about all of this. All right, I'm being told that we're having a technological challenge there. But of course, I want to take you back to the question I asked earlier. There's this allegation by Governor Okpebholo on 83 billion naira being allegedly mismanaged by the suspended local government chairman. And then, of course, the accusation that some of the monies were used by the former PDP administration for campaigns and all of that. So, talk to us, how could all of this be going on? And, you know, we don't have so much facts from the Okpebholo administration to back this up. Talk to us about that in line with a suit also that was filed in court, the State High Court, by the State House of Assembly, which the Speaker of the State House of Assembly is denying knowledge of it, that, you know, some of the newly appointed, temporary local government chairmen are also part of it. I mean, it's been confusing to a lot of people.
Thank you. I'll start with the last, which has to do with that suit. And because the matter is a subject of probe, I will not want to comment on it because it was what resulted in the suspension of both the Attorney General and the chairman of the Local Government Service Commission. So just like a matter in court, because it's sub judice, I will not comment on it. But just to quickly put a lie to some of the things that some of these chairmen have said. The chairmen have created this impression that they are being witch-hunted because they are members of an opposition party. We submitted the pro-panel reports on these 18 suspended chairmen, and from the records that we got from our forensic examination, I give you a particular example. A leader in Nwude, I mentioned this earlier, his name is Dixon Omasugi. From the Algon account, he got 40 million naira. This money would have gone into fixing primary health care in our local governments. Even schools that are in a state of were in a state of disrepair until this present administration came on board. And also to say that the person who was Algon chairman, the suspended, though he was later impeached, chairman of Oriomo, his name is Newman Ogiagbe. He has a hotel in Benin City along Jemidea Avenue. That hotel was used to remove over 1 billion naira from the Algon account. And just to say that Algon, which naturally should be a peer review body of local government chairmen, they were using Algon accounts to loot council funds. From our report, over 10 billion was set aside in the name of environmental security. I wonder what that means. And that money, the 10 billion, was what Aswe Godalo's election benefited from.
Well,
and in the matter of this, the governors are sure that these things will go before the EFCC.
All right.
I'm talking based on hard facts.
Right.
As a lawyer, I know the implication of what I'm saying because we're talking of a government document.
You have to provide those facts.
Investigated this person.
To our viewers. All right. Just very quickly.
I don't want to share it because it's a report. It's a report of government, and the EFCC will swing into action.
All right.
In the coming days.
All right, just before I let you go, there's something that's actually worrying a lot of Edo people that I've seen that during the week, I mean, we had Governor Okpebholo arriving at the airport, and there were lots of some youths hyping him and calling him all sort of names that are making him look like a demigod. And some people are beginning to wonder if Governor Okpebholo is not a hype man in government. How do you react to that?
You just reminded me of Elon Musk, the way he does that with Trump. I mean, that is a first world democracy, right? So if you have Elon Musk now being replicated in Edo, environment, seeing the governor, and you cannot prevent people from praising you. But what you should do is, you should not be distracted by those praises. You should be focused. And we have a governor who is focused. And is focused on delivering the dividends of democracy, for which he has a social contract. And as I've often said, that social contract is 4 years under our constitution. We choose not to be distracted by the following petition the PDP has filed at the tribunal. Remember, just about a week or two ago, about 4 other parties have withdrawn their petition. And I think Okpebholo should do the same, because I noticed that he didn't come throughout the time we had this tribunal in Abuja, because gradually he's seen the reality. In 2019, I got to know that he was to run for governor. Obaseki needed an Okpebholo to close his eyes. And I'm sorry to say that the probe panel has exposed him. The local government probe has exposed the 10 billion they took from Edo people. In the name of local government administration, they took over 10 billion naira. And I think the EFCC should bring these people to justice. All
right. Just before I let you go in 30 seconds, we saw that with the former governor Obaseki, there was a strained relation between the palace of the Oba of Benin and then, of course, the governor. Talk to us briefly. I mean, how's the relations between Governor Okpebholo and the Oba of Benin been like, within this period of, close to 100 days now?
It is a very cordial one, and the governor has a nickname, Akpakomiza. He's a man that believes in the culture and the customs of his people, and is a man that has very high respect for elders and leaders. And the Oba of Benin is somebody the Benins and Edo people regard as our royal father. All the things Obaseki did against the Oba, the governor, for those that are in line with due process, he has been able to restore some of those areas. And what he owes the Oba is respect. The Oba is not a politician, so people should not expect so much. And I don't think it is better for us to contextualize it, because he's a man that respects all leaders and all others, irrespective of whether they are political or traditional. That is what I can say about that.
And we must thank you so much for that insight that you've provided into the issues, especially the governance template that Governor Monday Okpebholo is executing in Edo State. Andrew Emwanta, a lawyer, is also the legal advisor to Governor Monday Okpebholo of Edo State. We must thank you so much for joining us live from Benin City. Emwanta, for this exciting interview. And it's good to see you once again. Well, good to see you once again.
Thanks a lot, Sambo.
Yeah. Well, that's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. You'll join us same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Somna Sambo.